guys, welcome back to the channel, welcome to another video. It's that time of the weekend, it's Premier League predictions time. It is a special edition of midweek encounters that we have lined up for us this week. Obviously the FA Cup took centre stage this past weekend, and what a weekend it was. Premier League football took a backward seat on this one, but the Premier League is back, league football is back, and what a lineup we have of Premier League matches this special edition of midweek fixtures from England's top tier division. This is of course a video where we're going to be going through all of the games, talking about them, analysing them, and of course trying to give predictions on how we think each and every single game will line up this week. But before we get into all of that, I would like to remind you all to please like the video and also subscribe if you are new. Both things are always and forever greatly appreciated. Get involved in the comment section. Let me know your thoughts, comments, opinions, but most of all, of course, people, your predictions, because where would a Premier League predictions video be after all without your predictions? There you have it. So please do get involved, use and abuse that comment section, and talk to me on how you think each and every single game will finish this week. Right, sound good? Fantastic. Let's get on with the video then. Let's talk Premier League action. And first and foremost, we're going to kick things off with Brentford against Manchester City. Now, I've gone 2-1 Man City. That's not to say that that is a foregone conclusion. As I predicted, Brentford have a very good home record. I think they've got the second best home record so far this season. But it's all about a question of which Brentford side is going to turn up. Will it be a side that is going to cause City problems on the counter-attack? Will Brian Mbeumo and Johan Wissa be firing on all cylinders? And will Brentford be a thorn in the side of Pep Guardiola's Manchester City, as they have been for the past few years? Will they be disciplined? Will they be strong? These are the kind of questions we will get to know in this game. City, still not convincing, still not watertight defensively. Brentford can definitely smell blood there and smell the sense of maybe getting something from this game, of course. But I just think that with the quality of chances, the quality in Man City in the final third especially, and with the kind of unknown of both of these sides, I've kind of got to lean more towards the potential favourites in Man City for this one. And I am going to go with a City win of 2-1 in favour of Pep Guardiola's side. Next up, Chelsea versus Bournemouth. And Bournemouth are another side that are a bit of a thorn in the side of Chelsea, should I say, over the past few years. The new and improved Bournemouth has certainly given Chelsea a good run for their money over the course of the past couple of years. And I expect this game to be no different. Chelsea at home are somewhat mediocre this season. They're kind of floundering around mid-table in terms of their home records so far this campaign. And Bournemouth, like I say, they tend to give Chelsea a very, very competitive and very good game whenever they face them. So I'm going with a draw for this one, but that's not to say that obviously Chelsea can't get the result. They, of course, have the players, the star quality, the individual quality, and, of course, Bournemouth have the opportunity and always the potential of dropping an absolute stinker into their performances. But I'm still going to go with the points to be shared at full time on this one. Next up, West Ham are taking on Fulham in a London derby at the London Stadium. And there's an extra level of intrigue from this one because obviously this is going to be the first game Graham Potter is taking charge of in a Premier League atmosphere. That always throws in a bit of a spanner in the works. A new manager bounce always throws in a spanner in the works. But I'm going to still stick with my prediction of Fulham to win. I think they have the squad. I think they have the overarching quality. And I think they go into this one in the better of the two teams' forms. So I'm still going to stick with Fulham. I'm still going to go with Fulham to win this game by 2-1. But that's not necessarily to say that this is a foregone conclusion by any stretch of the imagination. West Ham could certainly get something. The new manager bounce, I know they lost at the weekend with Potter at the helm, but the new manager bounce could obviously be an extra level of incentive for certain players to go out there and impress. And maybe it does kind of catch Fulham off guard a little bit in terms of maybe their approach to this game. So I'm very much intrigued by this game, but I'm still expecting Fulham to get the win nonetheless. Next up, Nottingham Forest at the City Ground taking on Liverpool. Now there's obviously an extra layer of narrative to this story because Nottingham Forest are, at the time of recording and so far this season, the only side to have beaten Liverpool all campaign in a Premier League atmosphere and surrounding. So there is an extra layer here of Arne Slot wanting to get revenge. We've all made jokes about how Arne Slot has talked about his one blemish on his record so far in the Premier League against Nottingham Forest constantly throughout any press conference and interview that he's been involved with. Will he get revenge over the side that has so far been the only one to beat him in the Premier League this season. Well, I've got to be honest, I want Liverpool to win, and let's face it, Liverpool have the best away record so far this season. But Forest are playing very, very well. Defensively, they are solid. And Liverpool, past couple of games or so, barring obviously Accrington Stanley, have not exactly been the most convincing. I'm hoping that the weekend off for Liverpool might have given them back some more energy. Obviously, again, there'll be the layer of incentive to get revenge on Nottingham Forest. But Forest have been so defensively sound and disciplined that this is not going to be an easy game by any stretch of the imagination. And as much as I want Liverpool to win, and as much as I know they have the capabilities of winning, and I know that on their day they can turn up and rip teams apart, I got to go 1-1. Because although we can be amazing on our day, I just have a horrible, horrible feeling that we won't exactly be firing on all cylinders. And defensively, we are always vulnerable to conceding a very, very stupid goal. So that is the possibility. And obviously with the likes of Morgan Gibbs-White pulling the strings, Chris Wood being in great form, Alanga on one side, and obviously we know about Callum Hudson-Odoi on the other. He was the goal scorer and a difference maker on the day that Liverpool lost 1-0 to Forest earlier on in the season. You can kind of tell where my potential worry may lie with this. So I'm going 1-1. I'm saying that this will end in a draw. I'm hoping and praying that I'm wrong, though, and that the actual scoreline does go in favour of Liverpool. But we shall wait and see on that one. Next up, Everton are taking on Aston Villa, and I've gone 1-1. And this will be an incredible occasion for Everton and Goodison Park, because this is obviously the return of David Moyes after being reappointed as a manager of Everton Football Club following the dismissal of Sean Dyche earlier on in the week. Sean Dyche left the club and has been replaced by an icon of Everton Football Club in David Moyes, Mr. Reliable, Mr. Consistent. And I think that his first act as Everton manager is to get a point from Aston Villa. Now, of course, Aston Villa are very, very good this season. Like, they're still going strong on Unai Emery. Not as strong as I think they have been in previous years. I think they are still prone to dropping stupid points at stupid places. But against an Everton side that are going to be rocking on a Wednesday night in front of their home crowd, David Moyes back at the helm, I just have a feeling that this is going to be an awkward game for Aston Villa to get behind. Defensively, we know that Everton can be solid, and we know that from set pieces or even the occasional counter-attack, Everton can be a massive threat. And I do feel like they can definitely expose those kinds of weaknesses from Aston Villa in certain areas. That's not to say that this is a foregone conclusion. Of course, I think any side could actually win it. If I had to actually pick a favourite, I probably would go with Aston Villa, in all honesty, with the kind of form of Ollie Watkins and Morgan Rogers in particular. But in saying all of that, I think Everton can definitely get something from this game, which is why I've gone for them to get a point. Moving on to the King Power Stadium next, where Leicester City will host Crystal Palace, and I've gone 1-0 to Crystal Palace. This was a difficult game to call because it could genuinely go any which way. Leicester, we know, have threats. Palace, we know, have threats. Both have been inconsistent. Both should probably be, well, more so Palace than Leicester, probably should be further along the table than what they actually currently are, but that's down to their own downfall. It's an awkward game to call. It is a difficult game to call. I'm not confident by this one whatsoever, but I have gone 1-0 to Crystal Palace. There is just a guess, in all honesty. Like, there is no rhyme or reason to it. Leicester could definitely turn up in this game, and they definitely need to, because of course they definitely need the points, but Palace do as well, and this is a favourable game for Palace to get more points on the board, separate themselves from relegation even more so. But again, it's not going to be an easy game for either side, but I've kind of given the edge slightly to Crystal Palace in this scenario. Moving on to Newcastle against Wolverhampton Wanderers at St James's Park, and I've gone with a 2-0 win to Newcastle. Newcastle are flying right now in incredible form, And I just don't see it stopping against the Wolverhampton Wanderers side, who have had a bit of a new manager bounce under their new manager. I know they lost last time out in the Premier League, but I just think Newcastle will have way too much for them to handle, especially with the kind of form that Alexander Isak's in right now, and the likes of Sandro Tonali as well, and Bruno Guimaraes and Joe Linton. I just think they'll be overworked in midfield, and I think that the lethal finishing will be in favour of Newcastle because of the most informed striker potentially in the Premier League right now in Alexander Isak. He's absolutely phenomenal right now. So I'm going with Newcastle to win. I'm going 2-0 Newcastle, and I think they're going to keep the pressure on that top 4 race. Next up, Ipswich Town against Brighton. I've gone with a 2-1 win to Brighton. Now, Brighton are the draw specialists in this league, and I was sort of debating whether to go for another draw in this one, but I've just given the slight edge to the Seagulls. I just think they may have the overarching quality needed to get across the finish line in this one. That's not to say that Ipswich won't battle for everything as they have done already this season. They've been very interesting to watch. Like I say, they've fought valiantly for everything so far this campaign, and there is a definite possibility that they can get something from this game, but I just think the strength and depth and quality of Brighton overall will just about get the Brighton across the finish line in this one. Penultimate game, we'll see Manchester United take on Southampton. What a game we have in store here, because it would just be typical of Manchester United to play out of their skin and get a point at Anfield against Liverpool, only to then lose to rock bottom of the table Southampton. Look, the writing seems to be on the wall for Southampton. They are a million miles away from getting out of the relegation zone. They definitely need points. And let's face it, against United, there always could be the possibility of a banana skin, but I don't necessarily see that happening. I'm going with the form of United. I'm going with like the kind of positive vibe that United have seemingly produced since that result against Liverpool. And realistically anyway, United should be winning this game, especially with them being at home. So I'm going 3-0 to Manchester United. I think they will turn some of their chances and opportunities that they are creating into goals, and I think they could have an absolute field day against this Southampton side. But here's to hoping Southampton actually pull off a surprise and get something. Who knows? And finally, in what I believe to be the biggest game of this round of fixtures, the main event of this upcoming week's round of Premier League encounters, we're at the Emirates Stadium for Arsenal against Tottenham. And what a game in store we have. A North London derby always is a classic Premier League staple. I'm going 2-1 to Arsenal. And again, I'm not entirely confident because Arsenal haven't played amazingly well these past several weeks. And for Spurs, I don't know what Spurs is going to turn up because they're that inconsistent. They are that awkward to predict. I genuinely don't know what Spurs side will turn up. I have to go with the form of Arsenal. I have to go with the more incentive of Arsenal chasing Liverpool at the top of the table, of course. And I think, obviously, set pieces, again, are going to be a massive weapon for Arsenal to use and expose Tottenham for because, as we know, Tottenham tend to struggle from defending set pieces. So I feel like that could be the difference maker on the day, again, as it was several months ago when these two teams met earlier on in the Premier League campaign. So I'm going with Arsenal to win. That's not to say Tottenham can't get anything out of this game. We know that they can play awkward. We already saw them in the Carabao Cup first leg really shock Liverpool, catch them off guard in that game. But we also know that Tottenham have it in them to flop. We also know that Tottenham have it in them to bottle it. We also know that Tottenham have it in them to take one good result and then go into a much more favourable game and flop. So against the team that they're not expected to do anything against, the pressure may be off for them to maybe go and catch Arsenal off guard. But then again, I don't necessarily expect that to happen. I would fully expect Arsenal to get the win by any means necessary in a London derby. I know these games can be levellers in terms of, well, this team's coming into it in the better of the two forms. We saw Liverpool versus Man United the other day. Everybody was expecting Liverpool to wipe the floor with them. It didn't pan out that way. This is another game where if Arsenal go into it thinking they're going to wipe the floor with Tottenham, they could very well catch them off guard. I'm fully expecting Arsenal to win though. But it should make for an interesting and an exciting game nonetheless, as these games tend to do. And there you have it. Those are just my thoughts, comments, opinions, predictions, feelings, whatever you want to call it, of this guy. I want to know what you guys think. What do you make of the Premier League fixtures to come up in a special edition of midweek encounters this week? I'd love to know what you guys think and feel about all of that. Your thoughts, comments, opinions, but most of all, of course, your predictions will make for great and interesting reading down below in that comment section. Otherwise, hit the like button on the way. If you enjoyed the video, subscribe if you are new or want to see more content like this. Both things are always and forever greatly appreciated. And as always, thank you all so much for watching and listening. I've been Fletch. This has been another Fletch Talks video / Premier League predictions video. And I will see and speak to you all again soon in another video or live stream or whatever it may be. Cheers, guys. Thanks everyone for watching. Take care. Thank you all for your continued or even brand new support. It's very much appreciated. And I will see and speak to you all again soon in another video, live stream, whatever it may be. Peace out.